That prison you were talking about some photos you took. There's a few infamous photos for Pablo. There is the one in and they're all at very different points in his timeline. The one in the White House, the outside the White House.
Yeah.
When was that taken? What's the significance of that story? How did he even get to America and freely take a photo in front of the White House?
Well, um, the very first trailer of the Narcos series, season 1, at the very last statement that the actor that plays me, his name's Boyd Holbrook, and Boyd and I gotten to be really good friends, and turns out that his dad was a coal miner, and my I'm first generation non-coal miners from my family and my wife's family.
Wow,
My oldest brother-in-law actually worked in an adjacent mine to where Boyd's father worked, so they knew each other. So just small world. Um,
that's crazy.
and again, I get to talking about family and I forget where we're going. What was your question again? I can think about
Are we both on some sort of drug? No, the question was the first photo from the White House.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
he, how the hell did that happen?
Okay, so here's the way to figure that out. When Pablo was killed in 1993, his son Juan Pablo was 17. In that picture, he looks like he's probably what, 5 years old maybe?
Right,
So that would be 12 years before 93, so that's 83, so mid-70s.
right.
Now, and in that trailer, this is what I was gonna tell you. The last statement that Boyd makes is, "We didn't know what we were in for." And this it's absolutely true because Pablo introduced a business model of drug trafficking that, it made him responsible for 80% of the world's cocaine, and he hit the United States realizing what the market would be here. I mean, just unbelievable. He had no cares. We got pictures of him sitting in Disney World, kicked back on the bench, like, "Yep, here I am. I had a good day, so I came to Disney."
Little
You win the
vacation.
Super Bowl, you go to Disney World.
Right.
It's ridiculous,
That's
and you can see
crazy.
the picture. Eh, does it look like he's standing in front of the White House?
Yeah.
It looks like he's worried about
The
US
most
law enforcement coming
populated
in.
tourist area, one of the most populated tourist areas in the States.
Exactly.
Mid
So,
70s. So actually that's when you were starting Miami, your time in Miami a little bit, right?
that's when I first started as a uniformed police officer.
Okay, gotcha. So Miami was a bit later. Okay.
There's a house that, Javier several years ago, a couple years before COVID, there was a house that Pablo bought in Miami, right on the bay, beautiful. I mean, I think the last I heard it sold for 10,000,000, but I think I heard that it's up for 20,000,000 now. Anyway, he bought this house. You know what the name is on the deed? Pablo Emilio Escobar.
No way.
Does that sound like somebody's worried about somebody finding him? And we even had we were doing a documentary, and they had a copy of the original deed, and we had a handwriting expert come in and confirm that that was
That
Pablo's
was
signature.
his.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he just wide open. He was out doing his thing, you know?
So in the 70s, when that boom was happening in Miami, when, it was getting out of hand, the city was literally being built on cocaine money. You're seeing increased violence, increased corruption in the law enforcement. Here's the guy that's mainly responsible for that coming into a country where he's later on super worried about extradition and taking photos in front of the most sacred US monument, or
Mhm.
one of the most.
And not only that, he's in the happiest place in the world, Disney World. Which is I live in Orlando, so we're here.
That's insane. Like,
It's
just to
crazy.
wrap your mind around that, it seems like the truth is crazier than any fiction you could make up.
I mean, it's audacious, right?
Right.
It's outrageous what he's doing and what he did. It was just unbelievable.
That's the first photo I want to talk about. This next one is probably the mug shot,
Yeah.
and you describe that as like the shortest arrest in history, potentially. What's the story behind the actual mugshot, and why is he smiling?
Well, he went in to challenge it's fairly accurate as it's portrayed in that portion of Narcos,
Right.
where, the cops he's been paying off cops, and all of a sudden, they realize how much money he's making, and so they want more money. So rather than calling him and saying, "Hey, we want more money," they seize some of his illegal properties, whether it's,
Right.
black
As a
market.
send him a message.
Yeah, and so he comes in to challenge him. "Hey, I'll," "what do you think we're gonna do here? Why I paid you off. Why did my stuff get seized?" And they're like, "Well, we think we need more money because you're making a lot more money." And he
Right.
challenges him. And so the cop shows him, "I'll show you what my authority is," and cuffs him. And so they put him through the fingerprint process and the photograph and all that. Well, I never had a mugshot. I probably deserved it as a young kid before I was 18. But if I had one, that's not something I'd be proud of. It's not something that I would want
Sure.
portrayed. And I've arrested a lot of people in my 38 years as a police officer. I haven't had a single person that smiled in their mugshot.
Really? Wow.
So it just shows you he knew this is bullshit. Yeah, okay, you got me. What are you gonna do with me? Because you
What
can't prove anything. And by the way, I'll probably kill you before we ever get to court.
right. So, was, Cockroach, I believe, also is that part of the story real where that's how he discovered that there was a rat on the inside that was giving information to police, or
It's a great story. I don't think that's how it happened. I'm
no?
more inclined to believe the story where there was a guy named Restrepo. I can't remember his first name now, who was dealing small amounts of cocaine in Medellin, kilo quantities, but just not a lot, just a few kilos.
Right.
Used Pablo. Pablo was involved in black market smuggling, televisions, washing machines, things like that. He started out his criminal career stealing hubcaps and stealing stones out of graveyards, and then
Yeah.
sandblasting them down and reselling them to the company.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, real stand up guy.
Right.
But then when he did that little delivery for Restrepo, and he realized how much money was involved, and then he ends up killing Restrepo and take over his business. And then apparently, we had the FBI behavioral analysis unit do a workup on him way back when,
Sure.
and the guy had no remorse. He had no conscience. Um, he was comfortable killing people, torturing people, taking their stuff, killing their family members. He had no problem with any of that.
Wow.
So I don't know. You call it a psychopath? I don't know what you call that. Just
Just evil. I mean, this is really
yes.
the simplest way. And okay, the last photo is you in front of his dead body smiling, which apparently got you into a lot of trouble, but it was also a very significant, important photo. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I can. And um, like you said, when that photo hit Washington, I did catch some grief over it, because they weren't real happy. If there's a DEA agent, and for whatever reason, I've got on a bright red polo shirt that day. It just makes you stick out like a sore thumb.
Right.
But that's the way Javier and I dressed there. We weren't allowed to wear anything that looked like military or police. So we always wore blue jeans, tennis shoes, and, either polo shirt or a t-shirt or a
Right.
button or just, something like that. And we couldn't display our weapons openly. They always had to be under, like most time you carry 9mm in the back of your pants.
Right.
So, excuse me, when I get there that day, I ride out to the site after Pablo's been killed with Colonel Martinez. Again, I've got my camera. Turns out I have the only camera that worked that day until the autopsy people got there. So, we've been living and working with these cops for 18 months. I've known them for over 2 years now. Javier's known them for over 5 years. These are the guys that we ate with. We slept in the same quarters. We were in, this is going to sound so dramatic when I say this, but, we were in combat together.
Sure.
These are the people you trust with your life, and you really get to know each. We, drank the same nasty agua. I don't know if you ever heard of aguardiente, but that's the drink they have down there. It tastes like ouzo. You do shots, and when we do
Whatever
that,
gets you going, it doesn't matter. It's all right.
well,
At that point, it doesn't matter.
they would chase it with orange soda, which to us was just too sweet. So we would chase it with beer, and then you try to stand up and you fall out on the sidewalk and
Yeah, fair.
things like
Deadly
that.
combination.
These are the guys that I mean, we just trusted our lives with for so long, and then when I got out to the site there, and I'm in that third floor window looking down the roof where Pablo's body's laying, and that's our team down there. And I yelled at them. Well, they had a hard time pronouncing my name, Steve, so it came out as Steak or Stick. So that was my
It's pretty
nickname.
good.
Everybody had a nickname down there, so my nickname was Stick. And I'm going, and then I yelled down at them, and they're like, "Stick, stick!" And they're holding their rifles up. They don't fire rounds like they do over in the Middle East, but you can tell
Yeah.
they're really proud. And so Colonel Martinez and I took some pictures from that area, from that angle. Then Colonel Martinez and I went around the buildings because these are row houses. We climbed the ladder up and we got on the roof where Pablo's body was. And the police officers they want their, you know, first of all, you can probably imagine that everybody's elated because Pablo's finally been found and taken down.
Right.
Here's a guy that at one point had as many as 500 Sicarios protecting him. On December 2nd, 1993, had one. It was Sicario with him, which surprised. Honestly, that surprised us all because we thought it was going to be a major gun battle.
Right.
So they want to pose with the pictures, and so I'm taking their pictures, and they're like, "Steak, Steak, take my picture." And so that's how some of those pictures came out. And then those guys finally like, "Steak, Steak, come on over here, get your picture." So you go over and you get caught up in the elation. And I got to be honest with you, we felt like the weight of the world was lifted off our shoulders because we've been living in Medellin for 18 months. My wife's back in Bogota by herself. You
Right.
know, we can't take vacations at the same time. We're working like 26 hours a day. It's, I mean, there was nothing glamorous about with that investigation. It's one of those, there was a time, believe it or not, there was a lull like the summer of 93 where we weren't getting any tips in, we weren't making any progress, and you know, you start feeling sorry for yourself, which is ridiculous to do, but it's like, you know
Right.
what, just son of a bitch, retire. I mean, surrender again. You know, let's go back home and start living a somewhat normal life again.
Right.
But then, you know, some of our friends would get killed in raids and operations they were doing. It's like, okay, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Get back on focus. Get back on your mission. You know, and realize what's important here. It's not your little sappy ass feelings.
Right.
And that was kind of a bad way to say that, but
I get what you're saying though.